Two old guys back to back. Yeah, we're looking forward to this year with a lot of unknowns. I'm excited because I know a lot about our team. First year of a coaching change. I've done it a few times, and it's about the hardest thing you can do, trying to learn a whole new group of guys and fans and put together a staff. And really the unknown is more than anything else of trying to overcome yourself for the first year. So we're to the point now where we know the players, they know us, they know the philosophy that we're trying to put in. It'll be the second year of our offense and defense. Know a lot more about the players. I think we've got them in the right spots, and that's the biggest thing about coaching is get your guys in the right areas that they can help you the most. And then get recruiting going, and our recruiting has really done a lot better than I would have expected in 2 years. But excited about the thoughts of what most of you think about us. Somebody said that we're picked to win the conference. Of course, I'd be thrilled about that, but you were wrong last year. Louisville didn't win it, so hopefully we can uphold that. But we've got a good football team. We've got a lot to do. We're trying to build our defense to the point where we can play just rushing defense. Last year, I think we were first in the conference in rushing defense, but we've got to get better at pass defense. Our offense, we won't change a whole lot. I'm looking for a quarterback. I'm looking for somebody who can lead the team. Everybody says, well, you got Gunnar Kiel. Well, Gunnar Kiel hadn't taken a snap in 3 years. There's a lot of unknown there. We've got Munchie trying to come back, Legault, who had a terrible knee injury last year in the second game. And we've got a young kid by the name of Jared Evans. So we're still in the building stages of trying to get to where we want to be. We want to build our team to a point where we can know that each week that we've got a chance and we can compete with anybody we play. Our schedule is very competitive. We play 3 Ohio teams the first 3 games after opening up real late. We play Toledo, Miami of Ohio, and then we go to Ohio State. And that'll be a lot of fun for our players and our fans. And then we've got to get on with our conference schedule with Miami of Florida mixed in there amongst our conference teams. So I think that just looking back at last year, we had a good football team. And I didn't know how good we could be, but we had a chance to really be good. And then we started getting injuries. We had 19 surgeries, and that usually goes along with luck. You can't blame it on that. But as a coach, you can go back and look at the point where you started and where you had a chance to get to. And we lost 3 fifth-year senior offensive linemen. It really put us in a tailspin. But that had a fact that's going to help us this year. A lot of those kids that we had to put in those guys' places now have more experience than they would have had those guys not got hurt. So we're looking for balance on offense, 50-50 run and pass. We're not going to be an ever down throwing team. We want to run the football as we did last year. I think we led the conference in rushing. But we've got to get better on defense, and we truly have to get better on we were just god-awful in our kicking game last year. Coverage teams, kickers, punters, we had no consistency, and we couldn't count on it in a game situation. But I think it's going to be much better with the guys coming back that were with us last year. They've worked hard. And so there's a lot of things that we've got to do to help make this an overall football team. I don't want to be an offense, defense, or a kicking game team. We want to be a football team. And our fans have grabbed on with us. We've got Mike Bone, our new our athletic director, who I'm excited about. But the guy that I'm most excited about is our president, who's bound and determined for us to have the best athletic program in the country. And he's dedicated to it. He's committed to it. We've put over $250 million into our program, all of our programs in the last 4 or 5 years. Football program doesn't have to take a back seat to anybody. We're one of the winningest programs in college football in the last 10 years. So we want to continue that. We want to get better in every area, and I think we've got a great group of guys to oversee that and make it happen. Any questions?
Coach, let me start off if I can. Nippert Stadium in the process of being renovated. It'll be a year. As a consequence, this year your home games will be at Paul Brown Stadium. Marvelous building, but it's a professional building off campus. Does that present any challenges to you?
It does. It's kind of like not having a home field advantage. Not that we won't have a lot of fans there and our students coming. If you've seen Nippert Stadium, we're the Wrigley Field of college football. It's an old stadium. It's in the middle of campus, sunken down. The crowd noise is very good. The students just walk out of their dorms right to the stadium. It's a great venue for college football. Now, we're putting close to probably $100 million into it. Construction's on schedule. We're upping our seating capacity, new press box, Paul Brown will be an area that it's going to be interesting. Seats 80,000. We'll be stretched to get that many fans into the stadium, but I think it's going to be a good venue for recruiting. Fortunately, we have that opportunity to have a stadium like that. It's where we can redo our stadium and have the opportunity to have home games just down the street, which is probably a quarter of a mile from our campus. So our players are looking forward to it. We had our spring game there last year. We'll have 2 scrimmages before we play Toledo on a Friday night as we start the season. And I think it will be a good home venue for us, but not near as good in terms of a home field advantage as Nippert Stadium will be when we get back next year. Yes, sir.
Coach, Earl Heath, California Crusader News. Us knowledgeable people pick you number 1 to start the season. How do you keep your team prepared? I talked to some of the guys, they're level-headed about it, but how do you spread it out to the rest of your team that's being preseason number 1?
That's a challenge for college football coaches because you have so many players on your team, and you probably can convince a few of them, hey, we're the point where we're going to have some very tough games. We might be picked number 1, but you can probably look at 4 or 5 teams in our league. And there's not a very much difference in any of us, so anything can happen. But it'll be a challenge for me. I've really, in 19 years of being a head coach, never been predicted to win a conference championship. So that's one piece of experience I'll have to go through, and I'll have to go back to my Miami days when I was with Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson. We were pretty much always predicted to be number 1, and go back and kind of think about some things that he told the team and Dennis and Jimmy and use those experiences. But it'll be fun. I think it's good for your fans. I think it'll be an awakening for all of our players. They've worked hard this summer. I think that we're ahead of schedule. I think the new rules where we changed it, where coaches can go out and watch practice and meet with your players during the summer, has given us a little bit of an advantage of being a new staff, only a year around our players to continue to catch up with what we want to do with our philosophy on offense and defense. So it'll be a challenge, but it'll be a challenge for me to convince a lot of young players. 50% of our team are with us, guys that I recruited, and I've only been on campus for 16, 17 months. So it'll be a challenge to probably getting in the heads of the younger guys more than it will be the older guys of understanding what they're getting ready to get into, because we will have a big target on our back, as Louisville did last year going into the season.
Coach John
Yes.
Klein from the Tulsa World.
Hey, John.
You've been in a couple of power conferences. What do you make of this whole power conference versus non-power conference thing? And how big a impact do these non-conference games like you have with Miami and Ohio State, could that have on the future of where this league lands?
Oh, I think it's huge. And we've talked about it as coaches, and our commissioners come in and talk to us last year when I first got here. We have to all make sure that we understand that where we're at and what our schedules need to look like. We're kind of on the outside looking in terms of the BCS. Not that we can't get there, not that any of us are locked out, but we have to understand that we have to make a statement, not only with our schedules, but how we play our schedules, how we play in the games, and as a group and as a whole, not just 1 or 2 teams. You look at last year at Central Florida, me coaching in the Big 12 for 3 years coming over, I knew what Central Florida was getting into, but I knew that they could play with them, and of course they won the game. Our conference beat a Big 12 champion, probably one of the best teams that Baylor's ever had. So we can compete with anybody. I've looked and studied the athletes in our conference. The only difference in our conference and a lot of other conferences is the name of the conference. Anybody in our conference can beat anybody in any other conference, year in and year out. And there's going to be a lot of years. And you're going to have an upper echelon of your conference each year, as other conferences are going to have. Teams with returning starters and experience coming back and quarterbacks and standout players. So it's going to be important for us as we get into this new BCS era of the +1 playoff, which I'm excited about, to make a statement each and every week for how we play and how we present ourselves on television, not just to our fans or fans in our conference, but fans across the country and the media. I think it's going to be real important, especially the way we're getting started. I'm excited about next year having a championship game. I think it's important that we all have a championship game. And it's I can't imagine the +1 coming up and some teams not having. I know there's some other teams that don't have championship games, but I think it's imperative that we all on the same level that have that right to get to the +1, to play those championship games, to everybody play the same number, and do what's right for college football.